The EPPCHS, heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the EPPodcast.com.
Sitting down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar, a special treat. I've been waiting since I started this podcast years ago to finally get to talk with somebody from the Evergreen Park Police Department, because I'm from a police family. My dad, 34 years with CPD. My mom was a state investigator. She used to do a lot of undercover work. They would put her on TV with like one of those purple dots over her face when they would interview her. I was 10 years a 911 dispatcher for the Cook County Sheriff's Police. We would have family parties, and Uncle Mike would come walking in the door with his partner, and everybody seemed to have guns on their hips all the time. So I have been around this forever and always want to sit down with EPPD and find out a little bit more about what they do in our village. And Lieutenant Wendi Franklin is sitting here with me. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. You're parked in my driveway. Does it look like there's trouble at the Lanuti house?
Yes. Police are at your door.
Right. It's like right now the neighbors are like, well, the cops are over there. Something's wrong. But no, we're going to hang out here and we're going to talk a little bit. And this conversation and every conversation on this episode and all episodes of the EP podcast brought to you proudly by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. They invest in the Evergreen Park community. After all, they love the area as much as you do, and their Total Access checking account gives you free ATMs nationwide with a $300 bonus with qualifying activities. Paired with their mobile banking tools and award-winning customer service, switching to a true community bank has never been easier. Plus, there's no overdraft fees. A lot of banks want you to go online. They want to see you. Go in there, 95th and Pulaski. Friendly people, somebody to help you with any financial question you may have. It's like banking the old way, but with all the new technology at your fingertips. The First National Bank of Evergreen Park, member FDIC. So first thing I wanted to ask you was, well, I don't know if I want to ask you or make a statement here. It seems like you're doing a really good job with these flock cameras. We've had a couple of trustees come in here. The mayor's been in here. It's been described a few times. I see online sometimes people trying to figure out like what this technology is. And I've compared it to the stuff that as a dispatcher, I knew was on the cars. That a lot of the newer cars have these computers that read plates. That way the officer isn't punching the information in while he's driving. It's more of a safety thing. It gives him the ability that if something pops up like a stolen vehicle or something, that he'll get a hit on it. And now these cameras are positioned in high traffic areas and areas that you're worried about with people coming in and out of the village. And it's alerting you guys to crime, and it's helping you curb it. Is that a good way to describe it? Can you tell people a little bit more about it?
That's perfect. So what we have now is we have 35 cameras that are positioned throughout the village. So it's constantly running. If a car drives through the village, it's reading the plate, and it can alert officers real time of if it's an alerted car. Cars get alerted for like they're stolen, there's a missing person alert on them, or they're wanted for an investigation for a prior incident in town. So that's what we have now. We have 35 cameras throughout the village, including 10 that are on along Western Corridor. We're looking into currently, since you mentioned it, getting the license plate reader in the squad car.
Right.
So in addition to the flat cameras that are on the poles, we'll have it in the squad car. So that as the officer is driving, that's an extra set of eyes that the officer doesn't have to look down. It's an extra set of eyes that can, scan the license plates as they drive.
I remember the county was looking into those before I left, because I was supervisor at the 911 center. So yes. I always hear about the new technology that they were working on and how it would work with our center when we were there.
Yes.
So this is not new technology.
Correct.
Some people might feel new to them, but it's not like you're tracking cars.
No.
It's not like when somebody goes to the store and comes back into Evergreen, somebody's like, all right, that's what the Lanutis did today, and it's in a log. It's a hit because it's attached to some sort of crime. Like people don't get that, like, not only is it the car, right? Like the car's information is there, yes. And if there's something the car was involved in, but a lot of people, their driver's licenses and their personal information is attached to their vehicle. And so that person who normally drives that car may be associated with the car, and that's where you're getting your alerts from, like, okay, there might be a problem here. We're going to send the car to go take a look.
Correct, exactly. Yep. And it sounds like one of the new trends, and it's amazing what you guys are doing. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I go over to the plaza and I see a large amount of cars over there. Yes.
Right? And I see that you're patrolling it. And
yes.
It makes sense to me because that if there is a border that probably has the highest amount of crime it's in that quadrant.
And there's a large commercial area on Western, all the way from 91st to 99th. There's stores that brings a lot of traffic to that area. So that's why. So officers may go take a report. We're always taking reports, and we're always responding to calls for service. We'll take a report, but while they're typing, they might just go park by the plaza to be a visible entity over there while they're typing their report.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like, look, criminals, my dad used to say, if they weren't dumb, we wouldn't catch them.
Right.
But on the other hand, they do figure out the idea that this is two different towns.
Yes.
And if I can duck into one and duck out of the other one, I got a better chance of getting away. And this is what's cutting that down. So Evergreen isn't a target, right?
Exactly. So we're just a deterrent. Just the car parked there, it's a deterrent. They will go elsewhere.
So one of the other things that I see people talk about all the time is traffic. Like I talk about too. I'm annoying about it. The mayor laughs at me. I'm always like, will you deputize me so that I can get people on 99th Street? Because you see, I'm right here on 99th.
Right.
Like that intersection right near where I'm at on Homan Avenue.
Yeah.
That is a run the stop sign intersection, and you guys, I'm sure, are aware of that because I've seen you out there patrolling it. And those problem areas dot in different areas in all four quadrants of Evergreen Park.
Yes.
I know you hear the complaints. I see all the traffic things. You're trying to slow people down. Kind of take me through what the police can actually do. Because if you had everybody doing traffic, nobody'd be watching the stuff that we just talked about, right?
Exactly, yeah. And so I'm like you. I live in front of my house. There's a stop sign. If I'm out working in my yard, I see cars constantly just drive right through. Don't even pause. They just drive right through.
Do you get the urge to chase them? This is why you're the police and I'm not. Because I'd be like, that's it. We're going. Like the kids would be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm on the case. And I'd be jumping in the car and I'd be chasing the guy because he ran a stop sign.
Yeah, no, there's too many of them. It's just, unfortunately, it happens everywhere. And unfortunately, we can't put an officer on every stop sign, unfortunately. So we do have, our officers are assigned a quadrant for their shift, and they're assigned to look for traffic in that quadrants, look for speeders, look for the stop signs, look for violations, and they're tasked with performing a traffic stop and being visible out there to hopefully deter others from speeding through the area. That's what we're doing. And in addition, we have a traffic car that specifically does traffic. It doesn't respond as much to other calls. They're assigned to traffic, and they just go through the village and look for the speeders and just be visible and pull the traffic stops, which will hopefully, like I said, deter others.
Yeah, because you're dealing with crime.
Yes.
You're dealing with things that you get calls for.
Yes,
you're
calls
dealing
for
with
service,
reports,
yes.
and you're dealing with, again, tell me if I'm not seeing it right. But I mean, it always feels like here's Evergreen. We've had Mark Marzullo as a trustee in here again, the mayor. It seems like the message always is, and Mark says it a lot, is like, you want your businesses to be healthy and you want your people to be safe. That's that's the number one stuff
100%.
For a village to survive, to thrive, to do well. And you can't control, even though you are kind of partners with CPD. I'm sure their officers are helping you with stuff. You're helping them with stuff. I know the county guys used to keep radios of the nearby jurisdictions, some of them in their cars, and they wanted to communicate so that they could help each other when they're out there.
Yes.
But policies over there may not match with policies over here, and you may say this is a heavy area and they can't help you. And so it's almost as if you have a border and you're protecting it, like the guardians at the gate.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. Absolutely. And if someone pulls up, they will go elsewhere if they just see nothing but squad cars, either parked in the plaza lot or doing traffic stops on 95th Street. They see that the police are active in this area, and we do our job to deter crime, to keep our residents safe.
Right, but the most important thing is, remember, is like you said, you have them in different quadrants.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's not like they're all sitting at the plaza.
No.
Right.
And sometimes those, like I said, the ones that are sitting at the plaza, they've taken their notes and they've gone to park there to type their report.
I've seen that before.
So, yeah.
And that's the thing. I always think that's really funny. That, like, people don't understand what police officers do. There's a great clip. I can't remember the show, but it was like a show that was set in LA for a couple of years, the LA cops. And this woman gives the police officer, who's a great actor, I wish I could remember which one it was, gives him a hard time for getting an ice cream cone. And he's like, we eat.
You're right.
And like, they're not hanging out playing on their phone or calling their girlfriend or boyfriend in the parking lot. They're writing the report, but instead of being in the station, they're keeping an eye on things while they're doing the report in the parking lot.
That's exactly the point. We don't want you in the station. No crime is happening, hopefully, inside the station. Crime is happening outside, so that's where we want you, out there in the village.
That would be the number one thing. You don't want crime inside the station.
Hopefully nothing happens there.
So do you guys do reverse 911?
We do.
Okay.
So it's called Smart 911.
Yes. I learned about this system like about a year before I ended up leaving, so I know a little bit about it.
Smart 911, and people can go to either smart911.com, or if they go to the village website, there's a link there to go to Smart 911. And if you go in there, you register, you can put not only your information in there, you can put anything that first responders need to know if we're coming to your house, like if you have dogs or cats or whatever in the house, if there's a fire, or if someone has a medical issue in that house, you could put that stuff in there. But you can also sign up to receive alerts. So if for the police department, if we have something that's an active case that's going on somewhere in the village, we put out through Central Dispatch, we put out an alert to a certain area and say maybe stay in the house, or we're looking for a particular thing, or if you see something, give us a call.
Does that come as a text or a call?
You sign up. When you sign up, you pick how you want to receive the alerts.
Okay.
So it's either text, call, or email.
I remember that this was interesting to me. As a dispatcher, it was frightening to me and the other dispatchers because we put more on us to know what was going on at the scene.
Yeah.
And I remember we were like, wow, like this is something else I could miss. So you really have to train yourself to read this stuff because the citizen can put in there, like you said, medical issues.
Yes, exactly.
I have this problem.
Right.
We have somebody on the scene that has a mental health problem.
Yes.
So when you get here, you need to know that in advance. It's a great tool.
It is.
To be able to give out all that information. And if people want, you never know when you're going to call the police. We were talking off the air, and I've said it before on the show. We've had a moment where the police were called to this house.
Yes.
And you never know when that's going to happen. It was unexpected when it happened here. But any information that you want to make sure they know before they get there, you could put into this thing, and it's very helpful to them, and it may help you that evening.
Absolutely. And in addition, when you're calling 911, you might be high emotion. You might forget You might forget to mention this or this or this. So this way, if it's in the notes, we know without you having to tell us.
There's a lot of high emotion. Yeah. I took a lot of those calls. When I have called since I got on 911, and I have found myself like still falling back on the training, like describing people from the head down and like, the inside out of their clothing. I do things in order. Most of the time when I call, and it's been a couple of times since I became a 911 dispatcher, I've had a dispatcher go, "Are you a dispatcher?" Yeah. Most people are not that calm when they call.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly the point. They're high emotion. They're not calling us because they're having their best day. They're having something going on.
Right, for sure. Okay, so you also do house watches. I've done this before when I go on vacation. I think it's a great thing.
It is.
You basically say, like, I'm going to be gone. There should be nobody around the house. I left on these lights, whatever. And I think, do you still have to go down to the station to put that on?
No, you can call. You can call the front desk, and they can take a note of your vacation watch. Yep.
Right. And then they're going to keep track of it. They're going to have your number, and if something weird happens to the house.
Yes. And we get an emergency contact who's going to be here in town just in case you're out of, someone needs to come here.
Yeah. Anything that the public can do.
There's a couple things that I wanted to bring up. First thing is, if you see something, say something. Quite often we'll hear someone comes up to us and say, a couple of days ago I saw something that was peculiar to me, and I didn't say anything because I didn't want to bother you guys. Well, we're here to be bothered. Please let us know. Please tell us something that's going on, because you might have one little piece of the puzzle, but we know the big picture, and we were missing that one little piece.
I just said this to my kid.
Yeah.
I just said that I was in the car with my son, both of them.
Yeah.
The older guy and the younger guy.
Yeah.
And we're at the intersection of 95th and Pulaski.
Yeah.
And on the Evergreen Park side, there's a guy who's dancing in the middle of the street. I mean, he's dancing in front of the cars trying to make a left turn.
Oh, yeah.
He's pretending he's the police. He's wearing his underpants on the outside of his actual pants.
Yeah.
So he's clearly not the police, right?
Right.
Like I was like, right away, not the police.
Right.
So he shouldn't be doing that, right?
Yes.
And my son was like, well, why are you picking on him? I said, I'm not picking on him. He could be having a mental break.
Absolutely.
He could be a danger to somebody else. He could walk 2 blocks.
Yes.
And think that the person walking down the street is like a crazy purple elephant and stab them.
Right.
Like, you don't know what's causing that. He could be in danger. He could be in trouble.
Yep.
He could need an overnight stay.
Absolutely.
Someplace where it's warm.
Yep.
I said, I'm helping him and everybody else around by calling, even though it seems like I'm just picking on him for dancing.
No.
That's abnormal. I'm calling 911.
I'd rather have you call us and we sort it out than just drive away. Absolutely. Say something.
Right. And I enjoyed telling the dispatcher about the underpants on the outside. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. And so that actually brings up a good point. Quite often, if someone has an issue, they want a police officer to come respond to make a report or for whatever, they'll call our front desk and then we transfer to central dispatch. It's just easier just to call 911. It's all going to end up to the same spot. It's all going to 911 central dispatch, but something might be lost in translation if it comes to us first and then goes to dispatch. So just call 911.
When in doubt, call 911.
Absolutely, yes, and we'll come to wherever you are and whatever you need. Yes.
Trust me, you will not be the dumbest call that they've ever gotten.
No. And one last thing I wanted to bring up. This is the time of year when people like to auto start their car to warm it up before they leave in the morning.
Yeah.
I would just caution.
Somebody's going to take it.
Well, make sure first that you lock your doors. Your car should always be locked. So make sure that car is locked. And if you're going to do it and you're out on the street or in your driveway, when you're leaving your house, just be very alert. Make sure there's no one around, because a thief might be in the neighborhood and see your car running.
And they know you're coming out to it.
And they know you're coming out to it.
And they know you're opening your door.
Absolutely.
You're basically putting a neon sign up that's saying what you're going to be doing next.
Absolutely. So just be alert when you're walking outside. That shouldn't happen all the time, but especially if you auto start that car.
If somebody wants to work for EPPD, do you hire?
Yes, absolutely. So we're down 3 officers right now. We're looking for 3 more.
Okay.
We recently just had a test for new hires. So that list is already out. I don't know the date for the next test because we're going through the current list. But we're also right now hiring for anybody lateral transfers. So they can go on either blueline.com or iosolutions.com or the village website.
This is somebody that's already working for a different department.
That wants to transfer over to our department, yes. And it's a different process for them because they're already a certified police officer.
Right.
So they can go on those websites, they can fill out the application, and then those entities forward that information to us, and we create a list and start interviews. So we're looking for 3 officers right now.
That's very, and the lateral hires, that's a great idea.
It is,
I know, like a little inside for everybody else who's never worked at a police department, they probably still have to be trained on this is how we do things compared to what the other one does. Yes. And they're still getting trained.
They're still with the field training officer. But to have somebody
that's already gone out there and done it with that experience, they're going to catch on quicker and be ready to go.
Yes. At that point, they already know Illinois law. They're just learning how Evergreen Park does it and our streets and our practices. Yes.
Yeah. That makes an awful lot of sense. Is there an age restriction for it? Do you know off the top of your head?
I believe it's 35.
Okay, I can't do it.
Yeah,
then. See, all I want.
To have you.
Listen, all I want is a ticket book. I just want a ticket book. I just want to get these people.
You would just do this one intersection, right?
Just do that intersection, okay? You know what? In fact, I won't even get the people with the rolling stops. I want the blatant drive-throughs.
Yes, just drive right
or
through.
The crazy people that this is a real thing. Yeah. And I saw one of your guys get somebody the other day doing this, going down 99th. They didn't like the fact the person was actually driving the speed limit and went across the double yellow line and drove into oncoming traffic to go around them. Yeah. And when I saw the blue and red lights, I was like, thank you.
Luckily, we're there to catch those. Yep. That's actually happened to me when I was in my personal car.
Right.
Going to get coffee.
And then you're like, I want to chase that person.
Where's my siren?
Wendy, I had a great time.
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming by and talking with us. Look, I'm a fan of the police. I know the whole world isn't. I know that sometimes you guys go out there, you do an awful lot of hard work, and something bad happens somewhere, and immediately you're all painted as bad. But I know you're not. Right. And I'm a big fan of the police. I'm a big fan of what EPPD is doing. I've lived in this village now for, where am I at? 19 years almost. 19 years in this village, and I've always been impressed with not only how it runs, but I've never seen a fall off in either protection or things being done. In fact, I see proactiveness. Yes. The cameras, the things to slow people down, the traffic pattern stuff. You're never stopping. You're not complacent. I absolutely love that. Yes. And I just want to make sure I said thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. Our guys do an awesome job. They're fantastic. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. It's now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, brought to you by Spoken Vine Wine Bar and Bottle Shop, northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie. Incredible small plates. The food is amazing. The wine selection expansive. And if you find something you like, the Bottle Shop will let you take it right home. 21 and over establishment, one of the hottest spots on the south side, right here in the center of Evergreen Park. See more at SpokenVineWines.com. The Village wants to remind you you can help improve traffic safety. The Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning is partnering with Cook County for safe travel for all. It's a region-wide initiative creating a safety action plan to reduce and ultimately eliminate fatalities and serious injuries on our roads. And if you go to their website and put in your thoughts about local traffic, you can get them the fun projects for your neck of the woods. Head over to engage.cmap.illinois.gov/cook. The EPCHS Scholarship Fundraiser is happening this Sunday, November 17th from 11:30 in the morning till 3:30 at 115 Bourbon Street with $40 tickets in advance and $45 at the door. Bears Packers. I mean, they don't look too good, but the party should be good. Tickets include buffet, select beverages, and desserts, limited reserve tables for 4 or 10 available for an additional fee. For more information or tickets, email foundationepchs@gmail.com. And the Evergreen Park Public Library Foundation has brought back the Holiday Portraits Fundraiser. Get a 20-minute photo session for your family in front of the fireplace at the library. Sittings are scheduled on a first-come, first-served basis. $50 sitting fee. Get over to evergreenparklibrary.org for more information. Sitting down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar, we've got a special guest. We always get people over here from Evergreen Park Community High School, and I've never talked with the assistant principal. And just sitting here as I was getting everything warmed up, I've learned he does an awful lot. Rob McCarthy is here. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, Chris. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, thanks for coming by. So why don't we just start off with the obvious question? Like, what exactly does the assistant principal at Evergreen Park Community High School do? Is this like something where you're just waiting in the office until the moment that something bad happens to the principal? They've got to push him out of the way. You step in, right? Like he falls in battle. You pick up the flag and just keep going that day, or do you have other roles?
You nailed it. That's exactly what I do.
You're like in hibernation. You just sit in the office and they just have to break glass, unlock the door, and you spring into action.
That's it. You got it. Well, it's not that dramatic, but I'm basically the operations. I deal with student discipline. I deal with the day-to-day operations of the school as far as residency checks, interventions with the MTSS team.
I know that you started off as a dean, right? Or no, not as a dean, as a PE teacher.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then you were a dean and then assistant principal.
Yes.
But you still oversee what goes on with the deans. Deans always fascinate me because I had deans in high school that were crazy. They were nuts. I had this one dean. He used to stand up on the roof and stand over the students as they walked into the school with a walkie-talkie for no apparent reason. Like, it wasn't like I was in a school that had real problems. Like, It was a pretty calm, chill school. But he would stand there, like, at attention and look down at you, like, and you were just like, oh, don't screw up, man. He's watching you, like that. Like, and it would become like, but then it would also become a joke, like with the walkie talkies. We'd be like, what's he doing? Do you think he's got a code word? He's like red squirrel, the blue fox.
Ready.
Like
he's ready.
He was geared up and ready for every single day.
Yes.
So that's why I've always found deans very interesting, because mine were nuts when I was in high. They were just they would walk around. They would pop out from behind the corner. Like, you'd just be talking, and all of a sudden they'd be like, gentlemen, and everybody would like jump 5 feet in the air. So I mean, is it still that way?
We have our hiding spots. No, I wouldn't say it's that way. What we try to do in our dean's office is build a rapport and relationship with the students and the families of Evergreen Park. I mean, this is, like you said, you mentioned, I started off as a PE teacher here at Evergreen Park. Well, I started as a PE teacher actually in Dixon, Illinois.
Okay.
And then I've worked pre-K through high school during my time. And
so you've done a lot. I mean, if you think about what you've done, they're all very different jobs. So
Correct.
It's almost as if you got into the profession and then you're like, I'm going to be a teacher. Like, essentially, it's like, I'm going to be a teacher. And then you start to find the things that you're drawn to, that you like to do, that you
Correct.
like, you find that you enjoy more, and you weave this path and get to the point where you're working as a dean and so forth.
100%. When I was young, I wanted to, experience a lot of different avenues of education. I wanted to, I really wanted to do pre-K through high school, and I was able to do that. I was blessed to do that. I started off as a health teacher, 6 classes of health a day, then moved into physical education. And then I came to Evergreen Park in 2004.
Okay.
As a physical education health driver's ed teacher. I also coach football, basketball, and track. I was the head girls track coach at the time.
Oh my gosh.
And
you're like some guy like in one of these movies who's like working as a teacher, and like they do the montage, like, the 80s montage.
Yes.
And like one minute he's like hitting coffee spilled on him while some girl's driving over a curb, and then the next minute he's trying to like run the track team, and it's like you picked up a lot.
Yes. I love the experience. And then when I came to Evergreen Park, I found the place that I love. It was a dream come true, working there as a PE teacher, and I never wanted to leave. I got my master's degree, and I wanted to get the experience.
Right.
At the time I was there was a great dean, John McGuire. He was there as the dean. He had been there for a long time, and I left to get experience as a dean. And I told the principal at the time, Dr. Hart, who was a fantastic leader at the school, that I wanted to come back, but I wanted to come back with the experience. So I had that experience to lead a dean's office. So as fate would have it, John McGuire left. I interviewed, I got the job, and I was the dean for 2 years,
right,
in the office, and then I became an assistant principal, and I've been there for 11 years now. So I started in 2004. 7 years off, and I'm back for, this is my 11th year, and I love every minute of it.
You see these things, like I'm one of these people that, I'll start doom scrolling like on videos and stuff like that. And somehow I'll end up on like school fights, and like, it looks like if you believe the stuff you see on social media, there are kids that run wild in high schools,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, and nobody will do anything to stop them because they're afraid to stop them. Whereas like when I was in school, I remember one time some kid walked down the hallway and knocked some other kid on the ground. And as he stood over him, the dean came out of nowhere, because that's what they were. They were like Spider-Man. They would just come out of nowhere and lift him off the ground and pinned him to the wall. And then you never saw that kid again. Like he was just out of school.
Right.
So like, I'm sure you've seen that kind of stuff. How do you, as somebody who oversees like the deans, and as somebody who's worked as a dean, how do you make sure it never gets to that point? Is it something where you're identifying problems and things before it gets to the point where that stuff we see in those videos? Because it had to have built up before you see like the crazy scene that like you'll find, like, so look at what happened in this high school and look at what this kid did. And it's like, they had to, he probably wasn't a model student leading up to that, right? So it's probably identifying things. So how do you prevent those things from happening?
Well, I'm blessed to work in a great community with great families and with great students. That's the one of the major things that drew me to this community. Evergreen Park is a safe school. It's a great school. The kids are great. So we don't have a lot of those issues, because I believe that we're proactive. We communicate with our students. We communicate with our families, and we build that rapport. We build that relationship. You'll see me and the deans in the hallways, and the social workers, the counselors, the other administration, the teachers in the hallways, talking to kids, building those relationships, fist bumping kids, and asking them about their day. When there is student conflict, the students are on the ground level. When I talk to the kids, it's not up to us. It's not up just to the staff, just to the administration, just to the deans to prevent unfortunate events, fights, or what have you. It's up to everybody, and the students are on the ground level, so they know what's going on. So the benefit of communication, by in all directions is crucial in building those relationships, and having not just relationships, but trusting relationships. Relationships where students feel comfortable talking to you, students feel comfortable reporting things. We have anonymous systems of reporting things. We have incident reports where students can report anything. Well, families can report anything. We have an anonymous tip line where a student or a family or a community member can send a message to my voicemail 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just so we can stay proactive and stay on top of these things. And
it's culture building.
It's culture building. It's culture building for sure.
And I would think it's also the kid needs to know that if they do come to you, somebody's going to do something about it. Because if they start to feel like that's not going to happen, like I know that my daughter had a problem at one point when she was in high school went to her dean, and the dean was like, we're not letting this stand, and went and took care of it. Like, I mean, that's probably very important, because if that doesn't happen, the kid goes, well, then why am I reporting it? Then they start trying to figure out how to take care of it on their own. Then there's no communication, and then all of a sudden you lose the school.
And that's where that trust comes into play. And it's not just with the students, it's with the family and the community as well. And we really strive to communicate on that. We started this system of communication where it's automated this year. Whenever a student's written a referral from a teacher for a disciplinary action, and it's processed by the dean's office, it automatically goes to the parents via email. Also attendance. Attendance is very important, and we really want to focus on having the best attendance in the conference, the South Side, on the tops of the state. Like we really want to get our kids in the school, because that's the best, safest place for them. And I truly believe that. And so attendance is reported twice a day to the families automatically if they're marked absent. If a student does have conflict, we want them to know that they can come to us, and we really push communication, positive, effective communication. So we focus on mediations, and we if there's conflict, we sit the students down and we talk. Even if there is a major conflict, something that's been brewing for a long time, we sit down at the table, we talk, and during those mediations, we figure out how we're going to move forward together peacefully. And those have been very successful.
And it's not just discipline.
It's
because
not just
you are doing something. I remember this already. I've heard this from some of the folks that have already come over from the school over the last 6 months. There's almost like a reward system right now for good stuff.
Yes.
Right? Which is, I mean, we didn't get that when I was a kid. There's no such thing like, hey, you were good today. Here's a reward. That didn't happen.
Yeah,
that's a very different way of thinking. You know, my generation, your generation, nobody sat there and said, good job, big guy. Here's a reward. Nobody did that to you.
Right. So
it was only when you screwed up they came and found it. That was it. So, I mean, this is interesting. So explain this to me, because it's foreign to me.
Right. So, like, I oversee our MTSS team, multi-tier systems of support, and that consists of counselors, social workers, the nurse, deans, and it's a great team. And we sit there and we talk about students and how we help. The dean's office should not just be doom and gloom. It should not be just strict discipline.
It should not be a shadowy figure standing
Correct.
on the roof staring down at you.
Correct. Right. Exactly. It should not be that. It should be a place for help. And I look at discipline as it's got to be taught. It's got to be taught. And the students that are doing the right thing, they should be rewarded. And we do a good job at Evergreen Park of rewarding those positive behaviors. And I want to continue to do those things. We just recently, Wednesday night, had a gym and swim where we opened the gym up from 6 to 8 o'clock, and we had students come in who qualified,
if they've done well, they were invited to it.
If they've done well with attendance and discipline and things like that, they're invited to it, and they were able to do basketball, volleyball. There was a jumpy. They were able to swim.
Is it generally the majority of the students qualify for that?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. We.
I'm wondering if it's like a small group, like you 5 people qualified, or if if it's the majority of the school.
Hundreds. Okay. The majority. Yes. We, like I said, we have a great student population.
Yeah.
99% of our students will qualify for it.
Yeah.
And the goal is to have 100% of the students qualify for it. And we'll keep striving for that. But they were also able to do laser tag, which they loved. I mean, the more things we can do. Oh, we also had a movie night on our football field with the on the jumbotron.
Do you get good attendance?
We do.
You might think that it's a simple thing, right? To be like a dean or to be somebody that's looking over all this different stuff, because it's basically like, stand on top of a roof and crack the whip, right? But it's not that. It seems like it's far more involved, and it seems like you guys have a very intricate way of doing things, and the name of the game is communication and culture, and it's paying off for Evergreen Park, and I appreciate you stopping by. Rob McCarthy, the assistant principal at Evergreen Park Community High School.
I appreciate being here, and anytime. I hope to come back sometime.
It's the EP Podcast, all things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.